evening. We're looking at, or I'm looking at, how to change your squat from a quad dominant squat, so squats with the front of the thighs, into a butt dominant squat. So this exercise is to try and get a different pattern in your brain. So what I usually see with people who squat is that they will break first at the knee and try and go straight down. So it looks like that. And if you can see, as I bend the knee, my shins go forward, my knees go forward. And it's not a case of that old chestnut of your knee shouldn't go over your toes. It's not a bad thing for your knee to go over your toes in some situations. But what it does do, if you are squatting in this sort of forward pattern, then you're using more of the front of the legs instead of the big butt muscles at the back. So, like I say, squatting to a chair, which is what I'm going to do now, is less about this being the only squat that you ever do, and more about learning how to do a glute dominant squat. So, for that, we take a seat on a chair, and you can see I've propped myself up on a block because these chairs are quite low. The lower they are, the harder it is. So I've brought the chair up to me by putting a block on it. I'm going to sit on the block or the chair or whatever it is you've got, and then you're trying to get your shins roughly vertical. So most of us will sit sort of like this, or with the feet tucked back. I'm going to plant your feet so that your shins are more or less vertical. Yeah. And then you're after sitting upright, and you can see I'm rolling my pelvis forward to give me this lower back curve, so neutral spine if you like. But what I'm not doing is then thrusting the ribs out as well. So I'm not chest up, chest down, but I've rolled the pelvis forward to stay in a neutral position. From there, without flinging the knees forward, I'm going to stand up. So all it is literally however you need to get there, and you will need to lean forward. Arms can come out for balance, and you stand. And then it's a matter of, and that's your tester, that's so you know that your butt can reach the chair. If you start standing up, you might miss the chair. So at least you know now that your bottom will actually reach the chair. So when you go back down, it's the same. It's almost like you're trying to send your hips as far back behind you as you can go. So you're trying to send your butt back, 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 taps the chair, and then come straight back up again. And you're trying to maintain this curve in your lower back the entire time. So butt comes back, taps, and comes straight back up again. And because you're having to send the hips back, you can't send the knees forward, because you can see your whole body shifts forward, never going to reach the chair that way. So this time, or this way, you have to send the hips back, 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 they touch, and you come back up. Hips back, touch, and come back up. And so on and so forth. And that gets you into a more hip dominant pattern, or glute dominant pattern, rather than a quad dominant pattern, because you're after your butt muscles to do as much of the work as possible in any kind of squat. So this is your practice. If you get the hang of this, then there's nothing to stop you adding some weight, so you can hold whatever you've got. I have kettlebells, so I hold kettlebells and practice the same movement, hips back and back through. That's it, job's done. It will turn your squat into a glute dominant squat instead of a quad dominant squat.